got lane 5, Agnes Irwin, holding on to the lead. Conestoga looking like they're in second. All crews still in contention. Lane 1 is Great Bridge at the top of your screen. Lane 2, Albemarle. Lane 3, Conestoga. Lane 4, Western Albemarle. Lane 5, Agnes Irwin. And Lane 6, Germantown Friends. Agnes Irwin appears to be holding their lead out of lane 5, with lane 3, Conestoga, hanging with them. Conestoga earned their bid for the regatta by winning the Philadelphia Cities Championship. And we have Conestoga and Agnes Irwin duking it out, looking like Conestoga just took a nice move to get a couple seats over Agnes Irwin. Conestoga currently holding the first place position. As we're heading into the final 500 meters, Conestoga making a nice move and establishing themselves as the leader. Agnes Irwin holding in the second position. Race for third, currently looking like lane 2, Albemarle holding in the third place, but here comes Western Albemarle. Western Albemarle to lane 4, making a strong move to try and pull up even with lane 2, Albemarle. And crews are coming into the final 300 meters of the race. Conestoga really moving out forward with open water over the rest of the field. And here they are, lane 3, Conestoga, pressing them, lane 2, Albemarle in the blue unis. Conestoga looking strong. And coming into the finish in second place, looks like a close one, but Albemarle taking it, followed by Western Albemarle. Lane 1, Great Bridge, crossing the line there, followed by lane 6, Germantown Friends. And that concludes the girls' lightweight varsity double final. And we'll be heading back up the course to pick up the boys lightweight varsity double final. Lane 1 will be Shenendahoa. They won the New York State qualifier. Lane 2 is Holy Spirit, first place out of New Jersey. Lane 3, Augustine Classical. Lane 4, Albemarle. Lane 5 is Boone out of Florida, winning the Florida State qualifier. And Lane 6 is Northville. And the early leader, Lane 3, Augustine Classical, taking a commanding lead, coming up on the end of the second 500 meters here. Augustine Classical solidly in first place. Lane 2 is Holy Spirit. And lane 4 is Albemarle. A nice battle for second place going on between Holy Spirit and Albemarle. Augustine Classical commanding this race all the way down. With Augustine Classical picking up their rating, increasing their lead, making sure they hold that first place position. And there goes Holy Spirit to try and catch them. Tight second place battle going on between Holy Spirit and Albemarle. And we are into the final 300 meters of the race. Augustine Classical there in the middle of your screen. And here comes Holy Spirit with the white boat blue unis trying to overtake Augustine Classical. Augustine Classical with a really strong sprint, moving on back through, pulling even with Augustine Classical. This is going to go all the way down to the wire, bow ball to bow ball. Augustine Classical answering that move, starting to pull back ahead. Top three finishers right there. Augustine Classical followed by Holy Spirit and Albemarle. Shenendahoa just crossing the line. And here comes Boone out of Florida. And our final crew is Northville, which concludes now our boys lightweight varsity double final. Race being declared official by the white flag. And shortly we'll be heading back up to the top of the course to pick up the girls' junior double final. Underway, girls' junior double final. We have Green Hills in lane 1, Ridgewood in 2, Augustine Classical in 3, Shipley in 4, Penn Charter in 5, and Berkeley, California in lane 6. Athletes in these boats are in their junior year in high school or lower. And it looks like Augustine Classical taking an early lead with Ridgewood in lane 2, staying right there with them. Lanes 1, 2, and 3 out in the lead. And Augustine Classical lengthening out there. Nice long strokes, increasing their lead. And lane 6 also trying to hang in that second place position. Lane 6 being Berkeley, California, red unis in the white boat. 500 meters down, we've got Augustine Classical maintaining their lead. Berkeley, California moving up from the bottom of your screen in lane 6. Going through the second 500 meters of this race, Berkeley, California increasing their spacing, trying to close the gap on Augustine Classical out in lane 3. The entire field maintaining good close connection with each other with about 700 meters to go. And the crews are approaching 500 meters to go. Lane 6 continuing to make a move. Lane 5 is Penn Charter not wanting to be out of the mix. They are hanging right there with him as well. And that orange ball on your screen, that does mark the beginning of the final 500 meters of this race. And again, lane 6, Berkeley, California, making a nice move, trying to close back in. That is by Issa Plowman and Sydney Harris. And lane 5 increasing their rating, trying to come up and close the gap with lane 6, Berkeley, California, still moving, staying just a half a seat ahead of Penn Charter in lane 5. Augustine Classical in lane 3 maintaining their lead. The crew of Augustine Classical is Lucia Hopkins and Catherine Linnep. And here comes Berkeley, California on the outside. Augustine Classical holding their lead as we're in the final 100 meters to the finish line. Augustine Classical with open water going in tight, so second, third are going to be a tight one between Berkeley, California and Penn Charter. Looks like Berkeley, California moving forward to take the second spot with Penn Charter in third. Green Hills just crossing the line, followed by Shipley and Ridgewood. Official results are available by either downloading the SRAA app or following the link on the SRA website. Up next, boys JV double final. We will have James River in lane 1, Albemarle in lane 2, Holy Spirit in lane 3, Western Albemarle will be in lane 4, Parkersburg in lane 5, and Saratoga in lane 6. You're seeing here is the athletes that have just completed the girls' junior double. Lane 3, Augustine Classical, your winners of that event. And the boys' junior double final, we're able to pick them up here in their final 500 meters. And it looks like lane 3, Holy Spirit, has a nice commanding lead as they come to the final 500 meters. Western Albemarle in lane 4 in the dark boat with white blades is holding in the second position. Third is going to be a fight between Saratoga and Albemarle. Little difficulty with our drone flight getting it into position. We're going to try and pick up with the finish line camera here momentarily. And as we're going down through, Holy Spirit is maintaining their lead coming into the final 150 meters of the race, with Western Albemarle out of lane 4 pressing Albemarle to take the second place position. Western Albemarle in the white boat, lane 2, working their sprint. Western Albemarle in the dark boat, answering that move, pulling back even. Coming to the line is going to be Holy Spirit with an open water lead. Lane 4, Western Albemarle seems to pull right ahead. Western Albemarle out of lane 4, finishing next. Followed by lane 2, Albemarle. Coming in on your inside, you have James River and Saratoga with a close finish. Followed by lane 5, Parkersburg. Races running on 5-minute centers are very close together. We had an exciting finish there for the boys' junior varsity double. Up next and already on the course is the girls' freshman 8 final. Girls' freshman 8 final just getting underway. Woodrow Wilson will be in lane 1. Mount St. Joseph in 2. New Trier in lane 3. Marion Mercy in 4. Ann Arbor Pioneer in 5, and Plant in lane 6. Should be a fast and competitive race. We had Woodrow Wilson coming in second in their Washington Metro Championship. Mount St. Joseph coming in second in the Philadelphia qualifier. New Trier won the Midwest qualifier. Marion Mercy out of first place in that Philadelphia qualifier. Ann Arbor Pioneer out of the Midwest. And Plant winning the Florida qualifier. All very fast crews. As you can see, New Trier taking an early lead. They're in the white boat with the blue and green oar blades. Top of your screen in the black boat is Woodrow Wilson. All crews still in contention as we come through the first 500 meters. And that's New Trier jumping out early. Coxon sitting on the bow balls of the rest of the field. The other crews all staying tight together. New Trier continuing to command this race. New Trier boat, coxed by Lula Macy, stroked by Sophia Shore, leading this final for the girls' freshman 8. And we have lane 5, Ann Arbor Pioneer, trying to make a move and establish themselves in the second place position, with Mary and Mercy right next to them, staying really close and tight. We are into the second 500 meters. And Ann Arbor Pioneer moving forward, trying to get themselves into that second place position. Ann Arbor Pioneer coxed by Anna Kaganoff, stroked by Emma Bassett. Lane 4, Marion Mercy, hanging really close. Woodrow Wilson and Mount St. Joseph not out of a medal contention here. And New Trier crossing into the final 500 meters. Remaining crews close behind. Third is up for grabs. All depends on who's going to have the best sprint as they come to line. You can see New Trier taking off on their sprint now, increasing their open water lead over the rest of the field. Ann Arbor Pioneer holding that second place spot. Exciting finish for New Trier out of the Midwest. And here goes Ann Arbor Pioneer with their sprint to make sure they hold that second place position, followed by Marion Mercy. Exciting position. We've got medals for the top 3 boats. New Trier certainly well out ahead, claiming their dominance in this freshman women's 8 event. On the bottom of your screen, Ann Arbor Pioneer holding into that second place position, but all crews starting to sprint. Eyes on the line for this one, because here comes Marion Mercy. And New Trier across the line. Ann Arbor Pioneer hanging in there to take second place, followed by Marion Mercy out of Philadelphia. Woodrow Wilson looks unofficially like they finished 4th, followed by Mount St. Joseph. And our final crew in this event is Plant out of Florida, crossing the line now. And that completes our girls' freshman 8 event. Well fought race by these girls. Tight contention all the way down the course. New Trier obviously very excited with their win. And a well-rode race there by Ann Arbor Pioneer for taking the second place position. Those girls are happy too. And we'll take you back up to the top of the course for the boys of freshman 8. Just crossing the finishing the first 500 meters. All boats really tight together. And we will have Montgomery Bell out of the Midwest in lane 1. Gonzaga from winning the Washington Metro qualifier in lane 2. St. Joe's Prep, the winner for the Philadelphia qualifier in lane 3. New Trier winning the Midwest qualifier in lane 4. Belen Jesuit in lane 5 winning the Florida qualifier. And Niskayuna out of lane 6 took a second place finish in the New York qualifier. And we're over 500 meters down. New Trier establishing themselves out of lane 4. Coxswain sitting on the bow ball of the next two boats. The white boat being Mount St. Joseph and the yellow boat, Marion Mercy. Mount St. Joe's and Marion Mercy neck and neck. And New Trier maintaining their lead in this through the second 500 meters. That is New Trier coxed by Michael Bender. James Wayrick is the stroke of the boat. That's Mount St. Joseph in the white boat, trying to take some room back on New Trier and trying to take a slight lead over Marion Mercy. St. Joseph Prep being out of Philadelphia. Cox is John Williamson, stroke Nathan Stezzy. And you're looking at the leaders of the boys' freshman 8 final. Marion Mercy trying to stay up with St. Joe's Prep. And I apologize, that is not Marion Mercy. That is Belen Jesuit out of Florida. Belen Jesuit. Belen Jesuit in that yellow boat trying to hang with St. Joseph Prep. As you see there, New Trier maintaining their lead. St. Joseph Prep in the white boat. Belen Jesuit in the yellow boat. Belen Jesuit out of Florida. Coxed by Christian Ramos. Stroke is Yun Chan Wu. Coming into the final 100 meters, New Trier solidly in first. Second place up for grabs. Looking like Belen Jesuit surging ahead of Mount St. Joe's to take second place. And crossing the line next would be Gonzaga, followed by Niskayuna and Montgomery Bell to round out the boys' freshman 8. And there you are, New Trier, the winners of the boys' freshman 8 event. Your second place finisher, Belen Jesuit, in the yellow boat with yellow blades. And we're going to be heading back to the start for the girls' freshman quad final. Girls' freshman quad underway. In lane 1, Augustine Classical. Lane 2, Niskayuna. Lane 3 is Agnes Irwin. Lane 4, Ridgewood. Lane 5, East Grand Rapids. And Lane 6, Seattle Prep. Crew's looking nice and tight as they come through the first 500 meters of this race. Seattle Prep out of lane 6. Agnes Irwin in lane 3 and Augustine Classical seem to be vying for that first place position right now. Lane 6, Seattle Prep making a nice move to try and establish themselves as the leader. And here they are down the course again. That is Seattle Prep in the girls' freshman quad, lane 6. With the current lead, lane 3 yellow boat is Agnes Irwin, trying to press and establish themselves as the second place boat. Top of your screen, black boat, Augustine Classical right in the mix, along with Ridgewood in lane 4. Seattle Prep down at the bottom of your screen there. Stroke Faith Dickey. 3 is Lily Breck. And the second seat is Alexa Gunderson. And the bow is Nora Canati. And Seattle Prep with a 2-seat lead over lane 3, Agnes Irwin. Crew's about to enter the final 500 meters of this race. Agnes Irwin with only a slight lead over Ridgewood in lane 4. The Agnes Irwin crew stroked by Chloe Saulnier, 3-seat Ashlyn Phelan, in the second seat Giona Zhao, and in the bow seat Julia Vanderswan. And Seattle Prep lane 6 establishing themselves with a nice lead over Agnes Irwin. Agnes Irwin with a good sprint to pull themselves away. But both lanes 1, Augustine Classical, and 4, Ridgewood in the dark boats are hanging in there. Top 3 will get a medal. Lane 6 on the left-hand side of your screen, blue unis and the red and white boat. Agnes Irwin also in the lead with the yellow boat. Agnes Irwin with a nice sprint to pull even with Seattle Prep. Seattle Prep maintaining their lead by just a seat. Agnes Irwin coming back strong. There goes Seattle Prep, followed by Agnes Irwin. And to take the bronze, Augustine Classical, followed by Niskayuna and East Grand Rapids. That wraps up our girls freshman quad event. Looking there at Seattle Prep, the winners of that event. And underway, boys freshman quad. Going from the top of your screen to the bottom, Conestoga in lane 1, Western Albemarle in 2, Shenandoah in 3, Haverford in 4, Brophy in 5, and Saratoga in lane 6. White boat Shenandoah in lane 3, winner of the New York State qualifier. Haverford in the red boats, winning the Philly qualifier. Coming into the final 500 meters of the event with a commanding lead is Lane 3, Shenenda Hoa, winners of the New York State qualifier. Open water over the rest of the field. Holding that second place position is Haverford in lane 4, but Western Albemarle right there with them. This will go all the way to the line to see. And don't forget on the outside, Conestoga moving quick. These are blind boats without a coxswain. Athletes responsible to steer their own boats. Red boat is Haverford, lane 5, red boat is Brophy in lane 5. Lane 4 is Haverford. And again, Shenenda Hoa well out with open water in command of this boys freshman quad event. Haverford in the white boat. Brophy in the red boat. Contentions for second place. And on the outside, Western Albemarle, top of your screen, making a big push at the end, going right past Haverford. Coming in, we've got Brophy out of lane 5, followed by Western Albemarle and Haverford. Our final crew coming across the line here will be Conestoga. And that concludes our boys freshman quad event. Official results can be found on the SRAA National Championship app or by following the link on the SRAA.net website. Underway, we have girls junior quad final in lane 1 Seattle Prep, in 2 Skyline, in 3 Ridgewood, lane 4 Niska Una, lane 5 Albemarle, and lane 6 Episcopal Academy, Pennsylvania. Taking an early lead would be Ridgewood, followed by Niska Una in lane 4. And Niska Una in the white boat with red unis in lane 4, duking it out with Ridgewood in lane 3. On the top of your screen in the blue boat is Seattle Prep. top three contenders continue to be Seattle Prep in lane 1, Ridgewood in 3, and Niskayuna in 4. And crews are about 1,000 meters into this 1,500 meter race. And last 500 meters to go, Niskayuna pulling ahead, followed by Ridgewood and Seattle Prep. And there's Niskayuna picking up the rating in that final 500 meters, making sure they open up their lead over the rest of the field. About a half a boat length open water, Niskayuna is leading out of lane 4. Second is Ridgewood in lane 3. And coming into the final 200 meters of the race, and lane 4 across. Nice finish. Lane 3 lane 3 Ridgewood appears to have taken the second place finish. All crews across the line. That's Niskayuna, your winners of the junior varsity quad. And Niskayuna waving to their fans, the winners of the girls junior quad event. And we go now to the boys junior quad with Episcopal Academy Pennsylvania in lane 1, Conestoga in lane 2, Skyline in 3, Ridgewood in lane 4, Saratoga in lane 5, and Haddon Township in lane 6. And they are 500 meters down in that race. Lane 4, Ridgewood taking the lead. Second and third being fought out between Saratoga and Skyline. Lane 1 is at the top of your screen, lane 6 at the bottom. So currently lane 4 is in the lead. That would be Ridgewood. Saratoga in lane 5 and Skyline in lane 3, duking it out to try and take command of the second place position. And it's Ridgewood currently in the lead, stroked by Tommy Montgomery. In the 3 seat is Gabriel Martinez, Matthew Lepis in 2, and Dylan Park in the bow seat. Those were easier names. Lane 6 is on the road now. Lane 6 taking a move to try and close in to the leading 3 crews. That would be Haddon Township out of Lane 6. Ridgewood maintaining their lead. Appears that Saratoga may have just edged out Skyline, but here comes Haddon Township in Lane 6. That's at the bottom of your screen. White boat with red oar blades. Crews are into the final 500 meters of this race, deciding when to sprint. And you've got Skyline taking a seat back, pulling ahead of Saratoga at this position. Ridgewood hanging on to their lead, but Skyline closing in, coming into the final 200 meters of this race. Ridgewood needing to sprint to stay up ahead, and you can see Skyline in lane 3 going after Ridgewood. They may just run out of space before they get there, but here they come. They're just one seat back from Ridgewood. Skyline pressing all the way to the end. But it'll be Ridgewood, followed by Skyline, Saratoga coming in, and Haddon Township. Conestoga crossing the line now with one more crew still out on the course. And it's Episcopal Academy coming down, finishing off the boys' junior quad. And Ridgewood, the winners of the junior quad event. Up next will be the girls' junior 4 final. Girls Junior 4 underway. At the top of the screen in the yellow boat is Ann Arbor Huron, followed by Montclair. Owen J. Roberts in 3, Bishop O'Connell in 4, Loyola Academy in 5, and City Honors in 6. Montclair and Owen J. Roberts in lanes 2 and 3, establishing themselves as the early leaders, followed closely by Bishop O'Connell out of lane 4. Owen J. Roberts neck and neck with Montclair to establish themselves with 500 meters down. Owen J. Roberts with just about a half a seat lead over Montclair. Bishop O'Connell trying not to let those two boats get away from them. Owen J. Roberts maintaining their lead position through the second 500 meters. Montclair not letting them get too far out of their sights. Bishop O'Connell making a move to close the gap and stay in the mix. Nice move by Owen J. Roberts, taking a seat over Montclair. And here comes O'Connell moving through to catch up to Montclair, making sure the final 500 meters they are in the mix to stay in second place. Owen J. Roberts holding in their first place position, but lane 4 Bishop O'Connell striking it to take a seat on Montclair. And the final 500 meters of the girls' Junior 4. Owen J. Roberts maintaining their first place position. However, here comes Bishop O'Connell slowly working their way back. And closing into the final 200 meters, we have Owen J. Roberts still holding the lead. Bishop O'Connell closing the gap to hold on to the second place, and Montclair hanging on to third. Sprinting to the finish line, just about 100 meters to go. And it's Owen J. Roberts, just a couple strokes from the line. Bishop O'Connell right on their stern. Owen J. Roberts followed by Bishop O'Connell. And here comes Loyola Academy to take third. Of course, these results are unofficial. Official results can be found on the SRAA National Championship app or by following the link to the results page on the website. On the course now, boys Junior 4 final. Bowles is in lane 1 at the top of the screen, followed by Sebastian River in 2, Culver in 3, Haverford in 4, Bishop O'Connell in 5, and Moorestown in lane 6. Moorestown at the bottom of your screen, hanging in the mix there. Lane 3, Culver appears to have the lead, followed closely by Haverford. Cruz coming in through the second 500 meters, almost 1,000 meters down in this race. And establishing themselves as the leader is Lane 3 Culver, followed closely behind by Haverford in Lane 4. But don't forget that Lane 6 Moorestown boat, they're hanging in the mix as well. Culver maintaining their lead. Lane 6 Moorestown with a nice sprint to try and take over Haverford out of Lane 4. And there's Culver showing that they are on the bow balls of the other boat, making a strong finish. Haverford in the yellow boat. Sebastian River in the blue boat. Tight finish there. And the third place, too close to call. You've got Culver maintaining their first place position. The Culver boat, coxed by Brendan and stroke of Corbin Stack, Jason Delina, Diego Gordon in 2, and Benjamin Brummel in the bow seat. And we have the start of the Girls Junior 8 final. Girls Junior 8 has St. Ignatius, California in Lane 1, Notre Dame in Lane 2, Ocean City in Lane 3, Mount St. Joseph in 4, New Trier in 5, and Woodson in Lane 6. The red boat Ocean City has a early lead, followed closely behind by Mount St. Joseph in Lane 4. Still in the first 500 meters of this race. Ocean City in the red boat opening up their lead. Mount St. Joseph not letting them get too far ahead. And we are 500 meters down. Ocean City remaining the leader, followed by Mount St. Joseph. In Lane 2, Notre Dame hanging in with that mix, establishing themselves in the third place position. Top of the screen in the white boat is St. Ignatius, California. Next to them, Notre Dame. In the red boat, your leader, Ocean City. And Mount St. Joseph next to them in Lane 4. And Mount St. Joseph holding second place over Notre Dame by just a couple of seats. Ocean City staying out in the lead. Lane 6 still in the mix. That would be W.T. Woodson. Third place is anyone's guess here. W.T. Woodson on the move. So is New Trier. Notre Dame trying to hang in. And here comes Mount St. Joseph taking seats back on Ocean City, making their move mid-race, trying to close in on Ocean City. They've brought the rating up. And we're coming to the 1,000-meter mark. Ocean City answering that move, pulling back ahead. Ocean City and Mount St. Joseph establishing themselves as the leader and second place boat. Third place is going to be a tight finish. Woodson in the mix there, along with Notre Dame and St. Ignatius, California. Your leader, Ocean City. And we're coming into the final 300 meters of the race. Switching to our finish camera, that's Ocean City out in the lead there. Notre Dame starting their sprint to catch back up to Mount St. Joseph. And at the bottom of your screen is W.T. Woodson. Top of your screen is St. Ignatius, California. Notre Dame making a nice sprint. W.T. Woodson hanging in there as well. But there goes Ocean City opening their lead, open water. Just a couple strokes from the line. Ocean City with a strong finish. Ocean City across the line, followed by Mount St. Joseph, and a close finish between Notre Dame and W.T. Woodson. I think Notre Dame is going to have taken it to capture third, followed by St. Ignatius, California, and New Trier. Exciting finish there in the girls' Junior 8. Ocean City, your winners, coxed by Mackenzie Thurlow. Stroke seat Riley Mack, Alexis O'Keefe in 7, Vanessa in 6, Michaela in 5, Juliana in 4, Maggie in 3, Carly in 2, and Alexia in the bow seat. And that is your winners for the girls' Junior 8. We'll be taking you up to the top of the course momentarily to pick up the boys' Junior 8 final. Boys' Junior 8 up next. And back up to the top of the course. Drone footage here of the boys' Junior 8 final. Upper Arlington is in lane 1 on the right of your screen, followed by Canisius in lane 2, St. Joseph Prep in 3, St. Ignatius, Ohio in 4, Gonzaga in 5, and Belen Jesuit in 6. All crews staying pretty close together here in the first 500 meters. In the yellow boat, St. Ignatius, Ohio, trying to establish a lead, followed closely behind by Gonzaga. And in lane 6, Belen Jesuit, not letting them get too far away. Nice tight race here during the first half of the race. Crews are almost closing in on that 1,000-meter mark. It's going to be an exciting last 500 meters as crews decide when to make their move. St. Ignatius, Ohio, still holding out in the first place position. However, Gonzaga right behind them. And we're 1,000 meters into this 1,500-meter race. St. Ignatius, Ohio, still holding a slight lead over Gonzaga. Third place is being fought between Belen Jesuit in 6 and St. Joseph Prep in lane 3. And St. Ignatius, Ohio, taking their move, opening up the distance on Gonzaga. Last 500 meters of the race. And Gonzaga starting their move to start working their way back, trying to pull even with St. Ignatius, Ohio. Bottom of your screen, Belen Jesuit dropping back off of St. Joseph Prep by just a couple of seats. St. Joseph Prep making their move as well, but there goes St. Ignatius, Ohio. Coxon on the bow seat of Gonzaga. Exciting finish here as we come into the final 250 meters. And Gonzaga pulling back on St. Ignatius, Ohio. St. Ignatius, Ohio, still maintaining their lead. Belen Jesuit coming in from the bottom of your screen, trying to catch back up there. St. Ignatius, Ohio, pulling away. St. Ignatius, Ohio, just about 3 strokes from the line, establishing themselves, but second and third place tight through across the field with Gonzaga and St. Joe's Prep and Belen Jesuit, and on the outside is Upper Arlington. And we're going to have to go to the official review. St. Ignatius, Ohio, extremely excited with their win. St. Ignatius, Ohio, coxed by Duncan Frazier. In the 8th seat, Matthew Scubis. Victor in 7, Peter in 6, Connor in 5, Eamon in 4, Logan in 3, and David in 2, Nathan Taylor in the bow seat. Exciting race. Official results for the 2nd and 3rd place can be found on the app or website. Unofficially, I would say Gonzaga out of 5 may have just taken that 2nd place, and Belen Jesuit might have just taken the 3rd. We have a start for the 1240 race, girls lightweight varsity quad final. Take you back up to the top of the course momentarily. And there we are, girls lightweight varsity quad. Top of your screen is Shipley, followed by Poughkeepsie in lane 2, Skyline in lane 3, Western Albemarle in 4, Parkersburg South in lane 5. And we are 500 meters down. Lane 3, Skyline, establishing themselves as the leader. They had an excellent race for lane assignments, commanding a strong lead here. They are open water at the 500 over the rest of the field. Lane 1, Shipley appears to be in 2nd, and lane 4, Western Albemarle, appears to be in 3rd. Poughkeepsie hanging right there with them as well. Skyline with a very strong crew that you see there in the stroke seat. Violet Dudley, Helen Ross in 3, Rachel Howell in 2, and Sarah Soluk in the bow seat. And Skyline maintaining a lead with lane 4, Western Albemarle holding 2nd. In lane 1 is Shipley. Shipley holding into the 3rd place position. As we are almost 1,000 meters into this race, Skyline maintaining their lead. And this is the girls' lightweight varsity quad final with Skyline dominating this race all the way down the course, boat length of open water against the rest of the field. Lane 4 is Western Albemarle, who's duking it out with with Shipley to maintain the second and third place finishes. Top 3 medals are awarded in these races. And Skyline increasing their lead. Skyline out of the Midwest region. 3 boat lengths, open water over the rest of the field. Skyline coming into the finish with an incredible race. And there is your girls' lightweight varsity quad champion, followed next by Western Albemarle out of lane 4. And coming across the line now in the third position would be Shipley out of lane 1. Crossing the line, Poughkeepsie in lane 2. And our final boat in this June lightweight varsity quad event, final boat being Parkersburg South. That concludes the girls' lightweight varsity quad. And that is Skyline, the champions for this event. Violet Dudley in the stroke seat there, followed by Helen Ross, Rachel Howell, and Sarah Sulik. Heading back up to the start now for the boys' lightweight varsity quad underway. Belen Jesuit in 1, Malvern in 2, Brophy in lane 3, Saratoga with the lead in lane 4, Shipley in lane 5, and Roman Catholic in lane 6. And Saratoga taking a commanding lead in that first place position in the boys' lightweight varsity quad. They're just out of your shot there, but second, third place is a fight between Malvern, Brophy, and Shipley, and Roman Catholic. Again, your leader, lane 4, Saratoga. Malvern in lane 2 making a move to try and establish themselves in the second position, followed by Brophy in lane 3. Crews moving up towards the 1,000-meter mark. Saratoga maintaining their lead. Malvern with a nice move at the 1,000, establishing themselves as second. Malvern in the yellow boat. Belen Jesuit and Brophy battling it out for third. And coming into the final 400 meters of this race, Saratoga maintaining their lead. Malvern establishing themselves in second. Battling for third is Belen Jesuit and Brophy. All right, going over here to the finish camera. Malvern in the pink unis and yellow boat making a solid sprint to the line, trying to catch up to Saratoga. Be an exciting finish here. There goes Saratoga trying to answer that with a sprint of their own. Saratoga maintaining their lead there with the blue and white striped blades. Malvern in the yellow boat pink shirts, staying strong all the way to the finish. As we come to the line here, Saratoga across the line, followed by Malvern. And lane 1 is Belen Jesuit, followed by Brophy. And our final crew crossing the line is Shipley. Saratoga, the winners that race. Derek Zwickel in the stroke seat. Kirk Maidenbauer in 3. Tucker Wortman in 2. And Zachary Gerhardt in the bow seat. Up next, we will have the girls lightweight varsity 4. Girls lightweight varsity 4 underway. From the top of your screen on down, we've got Upper Arlington in lane 1, Montclair in lane 2, New Trier in lane 3, Marion Mercy with an early lead in lane 4, Manhasset in lane 5, and Mount St. Joseph in lane 6. Marion Mercy taking an early lead with Montclair out of lane 2 in the white boat, holding on to second place. And this is the girls lightweight varsity 4. 500 meters down in this race, Marion Mercy holding on to their first place spot, being pressed by Montclair in lane 2. New Trier in lane 3 staying strong, not letting Montclair get too far ahead. And Marion Mercy opening up their lead over the rest of the field. Nice, strong second 500 meters for them. Here comes Manhasset taking a move, try and close back in with the rest of the field. Mount St. Joseph has them in their sights, and the purple boat on the bottom of your field is Mount St. Joseph. They're trying to stay right with Manhasset and stay in with the rest of this field. Marion Mercy holding on to their lead. New Trier rowing strong and taking a couple seats from Montclair for the second place position. Marion Mercy continuing to pull away from the rest of the field, but New Trier now in second place. Manhasset trying to get into third by coming on Montclair. Montclair's got to pick it up if they're going to hold on to their position. And final 500 meters of this race, girls lightweight varsity 4. Lane 4, Marion Mercy with open water over the rest of the field. New Trier holding on to the second place position in lane 3. Manhasset trying to work their way back to get into the third position. Manhasset with an excellent third 500 there, closing the gap on Montclair, now going after New Trier. Out in the lead outside of the shot is Marion Mercy. They are the leaders. There they are, leaders in this event. Going to our finish camera. We are about 300 meters from the finish line. Marion Mercy, your leader in this event. They're going to hold on to their lead. New Trier staying strong in the second place, and Montclair coming back. Montclair coming back to try and hold on to the third place position. And Marion Mercy with a strong finish as they're coming just about 8 strokes from the finish line. And we've got Marion Mercy crossing the line, followed closely by New Trier and Manhasset Montclair. Top of your screen there, finishing the race is Upper Arlington. And Mount St. Joseph will end this event. Girls Lightweight Varsity 4, your champions Marion Mercy, coxed by Sydney Kaiser, stroke of Phoebe Devliger, 3-seat Isabel Begley, second is Taylor Gregitis, and in the bow seat, Erin Catherine Welch. Up next, boys Lightweight Varsity 4 is underway, starting from the top of your screen. Orchard Lake St. Mary's in lane 1, St. Joseph Prep in 2, Canisius in lane 3, Fordham Prep in lane 4, Norfolk Academy in 5, and Great Bridge in lane 6. Lane 3, Canisius with a nice lead as we are 500 meters into this race. And lane 3, Canisius maintaining their lead. However, here comes Fordham Prep to press them, and right next to them, Norfolk Academy. Norfolk Academy with the red and blue oar blades. Into the second 500 meters of this race. Canisius maintaining their lead, followed by Fordham Prep in the white boat, lane 4. And the third position up for grabs between St. Joseph Prep and Norfolk Academy. Canisius maintaining their lead, but Fordham Prep trying to take back some of that space, closing the gap as they come through with 500 meters to go. And Fordham Prep coming after Canisius, trying to catch back up with them in this final 500 meters. Norfolk Academy staying strong in the third position. Bottom of your screen is Great Bridge. Canisius and Fordham Prep having open water over the rest of the field. Canisius maintaining their lead. Fordham Prep going after them. Only have about 300 meters left in this race. And your leader, Canisius, followed by Fordham Prep. And Canisius looking for open water as they come into the finish. And here comes Canisius with an open water lead across the finish line, followed by Fordham Prep in lane 4. And these are your boys, the lightweight varsity. And Norfolk Academy coming across in 3rd, followed by Great Bridge. And a tight finish for those final 2 positions at the top of your screen. And that was the boys' lightweight varsity 4 winner, Canisius. And the Canisius team is coxed by George Weckerl, stroke seat Charles Korn, followed by Zachary Porter, Zachary Mecca, and Nathaniel Sass. Next up, girls lightweight varsity 8. All right, and we've got the girls lightweight varsity 8 underway. Lane 1 is Moorestown, lane 2 Nardin, lane 3 Mount St. Joseph, lane 4 Radnor, lane 5 Marion Mercy, lane 6 New Trier, and lane 7 is Rockford. And we're just off the start there. All crews still together pretty good as we come into the first 500 meters. Lanes 3, 4, and 5 staying nice and close together. And we've got 500 meters down in the girls lightweight varsity 8. Mount St. Joseph, lane 3, out in the lead. Followed closely behind by lane 2 Nardin and lane 3 Radnor. And that's lane 3, Mount St. Joseph maintaining their lead as we're coming into the 1,000-meter mark. The rest of the field close together. Again, second place Nardin is in lane 2. Mount St. Joseph is your leader there, followed by Radnor with the white boat. Marion Mercy after them. New Trier's there at the bottom of your screen. And you've got Narden pressing Mount St. Joseph, trying to take some seats back on them and pull even. Mount St. Joseph is still 4 seats up on Narden. Radnor in the white boat staying close in, and Marion Mercy not letting Radnor get too far ahead of them. And we've got 500 meters to go. Mount St. Joseph holding on to their lead. Appears that Narden is holding in the second position. Third place up for grabs between Radnor and Marion Mercy. And Radnor pulling forward, trying to catch up to Narden. Mount St. Joseph maintaining their lead. Narden in the green boat at the top of your screen, holding on to second. Radnor's in the white boat. Marion Mercy has the yellow blades at the bottom of your screen. And here comes Mount St. Joseph in the lead. Narden in the green boat right above them. Bottom of your screen, lane 4. Radnor trying to hold on to the third place. As we come into the finish, it's going to be a tight race. Marion Mercy in lane 5 is still in the mix. And here comes Mount St. Joseph to come across the line. Narden versus Radnor, really close. Narden, Radnor, who's going to take it? Followed by Marion Mercy. Really tight race there. Mount St. Joseph taking the first place. We've got 2 more crews in this event coming down to the finish. Lane 7 being Rockford. Oh, that will be our final crew in the event, is Rockford out of lane 7. Winners in that event, Mount St. Joseph. Mount St. Joseph coxed by Sophia Burnell. In the stroke seat is Claire Broderick. 7, Kaylee Doherty. Shane McKernan in 6. Caroline Kiles in 5. Harriet Blatney in 4. Mary Kate Kolke in 3. Nicole Yuzo in 2, and Caitlin Lawson in the bow seat. And that was the girls' lightweight varsity 8 final. On your screen now, just completing 500 meters of the race, is the boys' varsity lightweight 8. T.C. Williams is in lane 1, New Trier in lane 2, Belen Jesuit in 3, St. Joseph Prep in 4. Gonzaga in 5, and Woodrow Wilson in lane 6. St. Joseph Prep with a strong commanding lead after the first 500 meters. Belen Jesuit in yellow holding on to second. Gonzaga's in the black boat with white unis and purple blades. And also in the mix fighting for third is New Trier in lane 2. And this is the boys varsity lightweight 8 event. St. Joseph Prep out of Philadelphia continuing to increase their lead out of lane 4. Belen Jesuit in the yellow boat holding on to second. Working through the second 500 meters of this race. And St. Joseph Prep going for open water over the rest of the field. With 500 meters to go, they're making sure they maintain their first place position, opening them up the lead with Belen Jesuit holding in second, Gonzaga coming after them. And Belen Jesuit holding on to second with Gonzaga and New Trier fighting it out for third. St. Joseph Prep, couple seats of open water over Belen Jesuit. Belen Jesuit trying to take some of that back. Belen Jesuit with a nice sprint as we move into the final 200 meters of this race. New Trier and Gonzaga duking it out for the third position. Nice sprint by Belen Jesuit to take back some seats off of St. Joseph Prep. Switching to our finish line camera, that is St. Joseph Prep with Belen Jesuit taking seats back from them, staying very strong. New Trier with an excellent sprint to hold on to the third place position. As they come just about 5 strokes from the finish line, St. Joseph Prep staying really strong on the bow ball of Belen Jesuit. Belen Jesuit sprinting it home, opening up their distance on New Trier. And that is St. Joseph Prep across the line, followed by Belen Jesuit. And New Trier in third. Gonzaga finishing in fourth, and a tight finish for fifth and sixth. Official results will be on the website. St. Joseph Prep, winners of the boys lightweight varsity 8 event. That crew is coxed by Connor Neal. In the stroke seat is Padraig McNamara. Santiago Ortiz is in 7. Jack Gorman in 6. Paul Bradley in 5. Aiden McGaugan in 4. Michael Glynn in 3. Owen Kirby in 2. And Patrick Lamb in the bow seat. In the 2 seat, seems to be very excited. And he sits himself back down. St. Joseph Prep very excited with their win. Boys lightweight varsity 8. Up next is the girls' second varsity 8 final. Going up to the line shortly to bring you the girls' second varsity 8. And just underway, we have Ocean City in lane 1, New Trier in lane 2, Saratoga in lane 3, Mount St. Joseph in lane 4, Walt Whitman in lane 5, and Pinecrest in lane 6. This is the girls' second varsity 8 final. Appears New Trier in lane 2 taking an early lead. Mount St. Joseph out of lane 4 staying right there with them. Third place is a tight fight between Walt Whitman, Saratoga, and Ocean City. .500 meters down in the girls' second varsity 8 final. And we're approaching the 1,000-meter marks. An exciting race in the girls' second varsity 8. New Trier, Mount St. Joseph, and Walt Whitman all vying for that first place position. Those 3 crews out ahead of the rest of the field. Nobody establishing dominance in this race yet. New Trier starting to take an early sprint to try and open up the gap. Mount St. Joseph hanging with them. Walt Whitman is at the bottom of your screen. Black boat with the black and white checked oar blades. New Trier out of lane 2 appears to be maintaining a slight lead as we approach the 500 meters to go. And again, this is the girls' second varsity 8 final. New Trier with the lead, followed by Mount St. Joseph. And it appears maybe Walt Whitman is holding on to third, but here comes Saratoga. Saratoga wanting to get in on this mix. Only 300 meters to go. New Trier starting their sprint to pull out ahead, but here comes Mount St. Joseph. They don't want to be left behind. Exciting finish between New Trier and Mount St. Joseph. Third place being fought out between Saratoga and Walt Whitman. Here comes Mount St. Joseph pulling a slightly ahead of New Trier. New Trier answering back, going bow ball to bow ball. Mount St. Joseph with a nice move. Mount St. Joseph and New Trier duking it out right here. New Trier increasing their rating. New Trier's in lane 2 at the top of your screen. Mount St. Joseph in lane 4. Coming tight to the line. New Trier with a slight lead. Here comes Mount St. Joseph. Looks like New Trier just edged out Mount St. Joseph. Need the official results. Saratoga next across the line. Followed by Ocean City in lane 1. Pinecrest and Walt Whitman. New Trier, the winners of the girls' second varsity 8 event. Underway. Boys' second varsity 8. Top of your screen is Central Catholic Pittsburgh, followed by Bethesda Chevy Chase. Gonzaga in lane 3, Montclair in lane 4, New Trier in lane 5, and Walt Whitman in lane 6. Montclair with an early lead, but all boats still close together. Working through the second 500 meters. Montclair trying to establish themselves as the leader. Hanging really close is Bethesda, Chevy Chase, Gonzaga, and New Trier. Montclair with 2-seat lead over the rest of the field. Here comes Walt Whitman in lane 6 to try and overtake New Trier. Walt Whitman with a nice move there, staying up with Gonzaga in lane 3. And we've got 500 meters to go. Montclair trying to hold on to their lead. Here comes Walt Whitman and Gonzaga pushing them up. Montclair needing to start an early sprint in order to hold on to their lead. Walt Whitman increasing their rating, starting their sprint to go catch Montclair in lane 4. Walt Whitman pulling even with Gonzaga. Just about 300 meters to go. And this is the boys' second varsity 8 final, about 200 meters from the line. Walt Whitman getting really strong finish, trying to pull even to Gonzaga, but there goes Gonzaga with their sprint, taking Montclair. It's going to go all the way to the line. Montclair, Gonzaga even. Bow ball to bow ball. Gonzaga pulling strong, maybe has a slight advantage. This is going stroke for stroke. Gonzaga getting a slight advantage, stroke for stroke, all the way to the finish line with Gonzaga, Montclair, and Walt Whitman. And 3 fast buzzers across that line. We are going to have to go to the official results to call that one. And it looks like Gonzaga was just able to edge out Montclair at the line. Gonzaga, Montclair, and Walt Whitman in that order for the boys' second varsity 8 final. And that's Gonzaga, with coxed by Connor Shaheen. The stroke seat, Owen Everett. 7 is Evan Donahoe. Mark Lestrang in 6. Brian Cooney in 5. Jack Rourke in 4. Ethan Toby in 3. Chris Meyer in 2. And Mark Castro in the bow seat. That's the winners for the boys' second varsity 8 final. On the course now, girls varsity single final. In lane 1 is Penn Charter. Lane 2, Hilliard Bradley. Lane 3 is Shaker Heights. Lane 4 is Schuylerville. Lane 5, Sacred Heart Academy. And lane 6, Rudolph Steiner. And taking a commanding lead in the second 500 meters, lane 3, Shaker Heights. Shaker Heights continues to stay out in the lead, and that would be Sophie Calabrese in the first place position as we are approaching the 1,000-meter marks of the girls varsity single. Lane 2 from the Hilliard Bradley School is in second place currently, and that is Caroline Sarter. Lane 4, Schuylerville, and Lane 5, Sacred Heart Academy vying for third place. Calabrese from Shaker Heights maintaining her lead as we are 500 meters to go in the girls varsity single. Staying right there with her from Hilliard Bradley is Caroline Satry. third place battle going on between lane 4 Schuylerville and lane 5 Sacred Heart Academy. And lane 3, Shaker Heights, maintaining her lead, but here comes Hilliard Bradley in lane 2, pressing to try and gain ground and creep back up with less than 300 meters to go. Lane 5, Sacred Heart Academy, making a move to try and get ahead of Schuylerville in lane 4. Hilliard Bradley closing in on Shaker Heights. And we have lane 3, Shaker Heights, trying to hang on to her lead. Lane 2, Hilliard Bradley coming on strong. And the final strokes of the race. And Shaker Heights holding on to it, followed by Hilliard Bradley. But the fight is for third. And we'll have to go to the tape to see who claimed the third place position. Lane 5, Sacred Heart Academy, grabbing third, grabbing the bronze medal in the girls of varsity 4. Winner Shaker Heights, and that is Sophie Calabrese in lane 3 from Shaker Heights. We're going to swing back live to the start. We've got the boys varsity single final. Boys varsity single underway. Lane 1, Albany Academy. Lane 2, Germantown Friends. Lane 3, A.N. Meyer. Lane 4, Mohawk. Lane 5, Great Bridge. And Lane 6, George Washington. And we have a strong lead from Lane 3, A.N. Meyer, followed by Mohawk in Lane 4. A.N. Meyer with the lead that is rowed by Evan McCree in lane 3, followed closely behind by Mohawk. Mohawk being represented by Peter Lowry. And coming right through the 1,000-meter marks, 500 meters to go. We have lane 3, A.N. Meyer maintaining the lead with Mohawk in lane 4 holding second. Appears the third place finish a battle between lanes 1 and lane 5. Lane 1, Albany Academy, and lane 5, Great Bridge. And that is A.N. Meyer out of lane 3. Again, A.N. Meyer rode by Evan McCrae. With about 300 meters to go to the finish line. Your leader in the boys varsity single. And from our finish line shot, you can see our leader in lane 3, followed by Mohawk in lane 4. A.N. Meyer rode by Evan McCrae, crossing the finish line, followed by Mohawk, rode by Peter Lowry. Now the race for our third place finish. That's your winner right there from A.N. Meyer. And for our third place finish, Albany Academy taking the third place finish. Albany Academy rode by Gil Dexter, taking the bronze medal in the boys varsity single. On the course, we have the girls varsity double final. Lane 1 is Montclair, lane 2 Bowles, lane 3 Albemarle, lane 4 Augustin Classical, lane 5 James River, and lane 6 Haddon Township. And we are coming up on 500 meters to go in the girls varsity double event. Your leaders, lane 2 Bowles and lane 3 Albemarle, duking it out for first and second, staying right even with each other as they're coming up on 500 meters to go. Lane 2 Bowles making a nice move, starting to pull ahead. Lane 2 Bowles currently leading, rode by Ashley Dodd and Catherine Haskell. But staying right there with them is Albemarle in lane 3. Albemarle boat rode by Brianna Knight and Riley Katstra. those two crews. White boat is Bowles, black boat Albemarle, going stroke for stroke as they're coming into this final 500 meters. James River in lane 5 coming up at the bottom of your screen there, trying to take the bronze medal in this race. Again, this is the girls varsity double final. And Albemarle in lane 3 starting a nice strong sprint to take a little bit of real estate away from Bowles. Lane 3 Albemarle and the current leader. Bowles hanging right there with them as we come into the final 300 meters. Exciting finish for first and second. And Bowles and Albemarle duking it out all the way to the end, going bow ball to bow ball. And it looks like Albemarle in lane 3 just edging out Bowles for the finish. Exciting finish for the first and second place. And lane 5 grabbing the bronze medal, James River. Next, Augustine Classical. And a tight finish between Haddon Township and Montclair. In lane 3, Albemarle, rowed by Riley Castra and Brianna Knight, taking the gold medal in the girls varsity double. Underway, boys varsity double. Germantown Friends in lane 1, Western Albemarle in 2, Saratoga in lane 3, Conestoga in lane 4, Wakefield in lane 5, and East Grand Rapids in lane 6. 500 meters down. Lane 3, Saratoga with the early lead. Lane 3, Saratoga, our leader, with lane 4, Conestoga in second. Saratoga looking very strong. Saratoga crew rowed by Michael Farley and Benjamin Weatherwax. Conestoga not letting Saratoga get too far away from them. There's bow ball to stern. About 700 meters down in this 1,500 meter course. This is the boys varsity double final. Your leader, Conestoga in lane 3. And here comes lane 2, Western Albemarle, trying to work its way back on Conestoga for that second place finish. Saratoga looking really strong out of lane 3. And we've got 500 meters to go. 500 meters to go with Saratoga open water over the rest of the field. Conestoga in lane 4, white boat with the blue and white stripe unis holding on to their second place position. Western Albemarle out of lane 2 pressing to try and close the gap. Going to the finish line camera here with about 250 meters to go, you can see that Conestoga continues to have the lead over Saratoga continues to have the lead over Conestoga and Western Albemarle. Lane 3, Saratoga, open water over the field. Saratoga rode by Michael Farley and Benjamin Weatherwax. Excellent finish. Excellent finish by Saratoga. Open water over the rest of the field as they come last 100 meters to the finish line. And there they are across the finish with a solid win. Saratoga, followed by Conestoga in lane 4. And Western Albemarle in lane 2 will take the bronze. Germantown Friends, East Grand Rapids, and Wakefield will round out that event. And that's lane 3. Your gold medalist, Saratoga, for the boys varsity double. Up next, girls varsity quad. On the course, lane 1, Northville, lane 2, Haddon Township, lane 3, Conestoga, lane 4, Western Albemarle, lane 5, Shipley, and lane 6, Skyline. This is the girls varsity quad final. Lane 3 with a nice early lead, that is Conestoga. And with 500 meters down, you've got lane 3 in the lead, lane 3 Conestoga, followed closely by Haddon Township in lane 2. Remainder of the field pretty close together. 1,000 meters to go. Yellow boat, your leader, Conestoga. White boat with red blades is Haddon Township, currently in second. But Western Albemarle in lane 4, the black boat with white blades, coming on strong. Western Albemarle with a nice row to push past Haddon Township to go into the second place, now pressing the leaders, Conestoga. Nice move by Western Albemarle in that second 500 meters to close the gap on Conestoga. Now with 500 meters to go. Western Albemarle taking seats back on Conestoga, trying to take over the lead. Western Albemarle pulling even with Conestoga. And again, this is the girls varsity quad final. Conestoga still with a 2-seat lead over Western Albemarle as we have less than 500 meters to go. Lane 4 Western Albemarle starting their sprint, trying to catch up to the lead crews. Conestoga keeping them in their sights, not letting them get past, answering each move. maintaining their slight lead as we have about 250 meters to go. Try again, Western Albemarle, another move, closing, taking one seat back. Conestoga still holding the lead. And Western Albemarle with another move, closing the gap once again. Conestoga staying strong, pushing in to make their move. Western Albemarle going after it. First and second place, fighting it out. Coming into the line, it is Conestoga holding on to their lead. Conestoga will make it. Western Albemarle in second. Third place bronze medal up for grabs. Looks like Haddon Township will take it. And a tight finish for the rest of the spots. Lane 3, Conestoga. Winners of the girls' varsity quad. Stroked by Abigail Lewis, Blair Kennedy in 3, Victoria Boutke in 2, and Natalia Bertolotti in the bow seat. And that was Conestoga, your winners of the girls' varsity quad. We'll head up to the start of the boys' varsity quad final up next. There's Bowles in lane 1, Malvern in 2, Haddon Township in 3, Conestoga in 4, Skyline in 5, and Haverford in 6. And these are the boys' varsity quad final. Lane 6 out with an early lead. Lane 6, Haverford. Lane 4, Conestoga out in front as well. Those two establishing themselves as the first and second team as we are 500 meters through this race. Haverford and Conestoga holding even. Haverford in lane 6 on the bottom of your screen. Conestoga out of lane 4, slight lead over Haverford in lane 6. And they are closing out the first 1,000 meters of this race. Conestoga in the lead. Lane 2 at the top of your screen is Malvern. They're still in the mix. Next to them in the white boat is Haddon Township, lane 3. Conestoga with a nice move to try and keep themselves in the first position. And Haverford answering back. And we've got 500 meters to go. Conestoga and Haverford duking it out for first and second place. Top of your screen is Malvern, followed by Haddon Township, also in the mix. Malvern looking like they're starting to take a move to try and capture that second place position. Nice sprint by Conestoga in lane 4. About 200 meters to go. Malvern moving strong, lane 2 in the pink Unis with the yellow bow trying to go right after Conestoga, lane 4. Excellent move to the finish line. Lane 4, Conestoga moving it forward and coming to the finish line. On the inside is lane 6. Tight finish for second and third between Malvern and Haverford. We'll have to go to the official results. Conestoga, lane 4, winning that event. Conestoga stroked by Robert Molsbergen. In the 3-seat, Max Harmon. 2-seat, Andrew McClellan. And in the bow seat, Cale Wiley. So Conestoga coming in first, Malvern second, and Haverford in sixth. And again, that is unofficial until you see it on the app or website. But unofficially, Conestoga, Malvern, Haverford. Exciting finish to the boys' varsity 4 event. And we're going to take you up to the top of the course. Girls Varsity 4 underway. This is a girls Varsity 4 petite final. Jacksonville Episcopal is in lane 1. Nardin in 2. Episcopal Academy, Pennsylvania in 3. St. Joseph Academy in lane 4. Baldwinsville in lane 5. And St. Ignatius Chicago in lane 6. And we're just off the start of the girls Varsity 4 petite final. Unfortunately for this petite final, we are relying just on land cameras here as our drone needs a minor repair before it's going to be able to get back up. So coming right at us is, again, the girls Varsity 4 petite final. Looking like lane 3 might be in the lead there. Lane 4 pressing hard. Lane 3 is Episcopal Academy, Pennsylvania. Lane 4 is St. Joseph Academy. And it appears the field is still pretty tight, close together for this petite final of the girls Varsity 4 event. Nardin's in the green boat at the far right of your screen. They seem to be making a move to try and establish themselves in the front, but also looking incredibly strong as Episcopal Academy, Pennsylvania. They are in lane 3. And we're back with our drone footage. Nardin seems to be holding on to a second place position in the green boat. And our leader is lane 5, Baldwinsville. Crew still in striking distance as they are closing out the first 1,000 meters of this race. Baldwinsville looking to increase their lead, taking a small move here. Nice strong strokes. And they're putting their stern on the bow balls of the rest of the field. Narden fighting with lane 4. Narden in lane 2. St. Joseph Academy in lane 4. Those two crews fighting it out for the second and third place. And coming into the finish, the last 250 meters of the race, you have Baldwinsville, lane 5, establishing themselves as the first place crew, coming on nice and strong. Making a good sprint for the end is the green boat at the top of the screen, Narden. Coming strong to the line, Baldwinsville, lane 5. Lane 4, St. Joseph Academy with a strong second place finish. And Baldwinsville across the line, followed by St. Joseph Academy. Narden crossing the line. Episcopal Academy, Pennsylvania. And a tight finish between Jacksonville Episcopal and St. Ignatius, Chicago. And we'll take you back up to the top of the course for the girls varsity 4 grand final. Underway, girls varsity 4 grand final. We have Marian Mercy in lane 1, Blair in lane 2, Montclair in lane 3, Holy Spirit in lane 4, Lower Marion in lane 5, and West Springfield in lane 6. "500 meters down, you have Montclair in lane 3 establishing themselves as the early leader. Montclair won their qualifying event. Lane 4 in the blue boat, Holy Spirit, holding in the second place position. Lane 2, Blair, making a move, trying to close the gap on Holy Spirit. And again, we're working at the second 500 meters of the race. This is the girls' varsity 4 grand final. On the inside, Lower Marion out of lane 5, looking to position themselves. Battle for third place going on between Blair in lane 2 in the white boat and Lower Marion from Philadelphia in lane 5, black boat with maroon oars. Montclair lane 3 continues to lead this as we are at the 1,000-meter mark. 500 meters to go. Montclair, your leader, followed by Holy Spirit, and a battle for third between Blair in lane 2 and Lower Marion in lane 5. Montclair lane 3 trying to open up the distance, get open water over the rest of the field. Blue boat in lane 4 is Holy Spirit. And we're about 300 meters from the finish line. Montclair holding on to their lead, followed by Holy Spirit. Battle for the bronze medal between Blair and Lower Merion. Lower Merion making a nice move to come ahead of Blair. As we come into our finish line camera shots, Montclair maintaining and increasing their lead with open water over the field. That is Montclair coming into the finish. Holy Spirit trying to hold on to their second place spot as Blair and Lower Merion work hard trying to claim the bronze. And as we come into the finish, Montclair lane 3 with a decided win, followed strongly by Holy Spirit, and Lower Merion from lane 5 taking the inside, and Lower Merion capturing the bronze, followed quickly by Blair in 4th. Our final competitors out on the water. Lane 1 is Marion Mercy. And our final crew, West Springfield. Montclair, coxed by Amelia Cataldi. And in the stroke seat, Rosen Cahill, followed by Kimberly Troller, Isabella Hummel, Katrina Mihalis in the bow seat. And that is Montclair, your gold medalist for the girls varsity 4. And on the course now, just completing the first 500 meters of the race, is the boys varsity 4 second final or petite final. Forest Park is in lane 1, Bishop Eustace in lane 2, Loyola Academy in lane 3, New Trier in lane 4, Woodson in lane 5, and Cathedral Catholic in lane 6. And New Trier, your leader in this event, followed closely behind by Loyola Academy. New Trier at the top of the screen, there's black boat with the blue and green oar blades. Loyola Academy in the white boat. These are your leaders for the boys 4 petite final. New Trier out of lane 4, continuing to hold their lead, but Loyola Academy right next to them as we are almost 1,000 meters into this race. New Trier in lane 4, taking a couple of seats, making a nice move there to pull out into the first position. New Trier won their Midwest qualifier. And New Trier with 2 seats over Loyola Academy. And we've got 500 meters to go in this petite final. And New Trier starting to row through Loyola Academy. Loyola Academy holding in second. And our finish line cameras with about 200 meters to go. New Trier trying to hold on to their lead over Loyola Academy. New Trier in lane 4. Just ahead of Loyola Academy in lane 3 with Bishop Eustace. And that's Loyola New Trier followed by Loyola Academy. Bishop Eustace. Woodson. No, correction. That would be Cathedral Catholic, followed by Forest Park. And that concludes the petite final for the boys varsity 4. New Trier winning that contest. New Trier coxed by Zakar with Colin in 4, Jack in 3, Ryan in 2, and George in the bow seat. Too many. The Caxton had a last name I couldn't pronounce. And here we go on the course, the grand final, boys varsity 4. Top of your screen, Walter Johnson in lane 1, Pinecrest in 2, Episcopal Academy, Pennsylvania in 3, Culver in 4, Orchard Lake St. Mary's in 5, and Baylor in lane 6. Taking early lead is Pinecrest out of lane 2. And they are 500 meters down. Pinecrest vying for the first place position with Orchard Lake St. Mary's. Orchard Lake St. Mary's making a nice move to try and stay ahead there and hang with Pinecrest out of lane 2. Working on the second 500 meters of this race. Top 3 competitors going neck and neck. Pinecrest out of lane 2. Culver in 3. And Orchard Lake St. Mary's in lane 4. Culver was the second place finisher at the Midwest qualifier. Culver making a move to try and take a seat back and pull even with Pinecrest. Culver and Pinecrest going stroke for stroke here as we're approaching the 1,000-meter mark. Culver out of lane 4 has a slight edge over Pinecrest in lane 2. Vying for the bronze medal is Episcopal Academy, Pennsylvania in lane 3 and Orchard Lake St. Mary's in lane 5. With 500 meters to go, looking like Culver in lane 4 with a slight advantage. And there's Culver establishing themselves as the leader in this race. Culver, lane 4, second place finisher, Midwest qualifier. Lane 2 is Pinecrest, holding the silver medal position as we are coming into the last 200 meters of the race. Bronze is up for grabs between Orchard Lake St. Mary's in lane 5 and Episcopal Academy, Pennsylvania in lane 3. Culver increasing their lead as they come into their sprint to the final 150 meters of this race. Pinecrest hanging right there with them, but Culver establishing themselves as the leaders as they come through. Pinecrest working their sprint, trying to catch. And Culver pulling forward with just a couple of strokes to go. Culver will cross the finish line and take the gold medal position, followed by Pinecrest out of lane 2. And a tight finish for third. Closing in, have to look at the official results for the third place finish. Winners of the boys varsity 4 event is Culver, stroked by Noah, or coxed by Noah Tran. In the stroke seat is Savas Katsouras. In lane 3, Henry Stewart. Seat 2, Jacob Page. And in the bow seat, Charles Jones. Those are your winners of the gold medal for the boys varsity 4 from Culver. Pinecrest finishing second in that event with Orchard Lake St. Mary's grabbing the bronze. And again, we're looking at Culver, your gold medalist for the boys varsity 4. And momentarily, we'll take you up to the girls varsity 8 petite final. Girls varsity 8 petite final underway. And in lane 1 will be National Cathedral. Lane 2, Ocean City. Lane 3, Bethesda Chevy Chase. Lane 4, Culver. And lane 3 is Bethesda Chevy Chase. Lane 4 is Moorestown. Lane 5, Pinecrest. And lane 6, Washington Lee. And looks like lane 3, the early leader for the girls varsity 8 petite final. Lane 3 is Bethesda Chevy Chase, with a nice lead over the rest of the field. Rest of the field's pretty tight together, working the second 500 meters of the race. Bethesda Chevy Chase with a decisive lead in the second 500 meters of the girls varsity 8 petite final. Lane 6, Washington and Lee. Lane 2, Ocean City, all in contention for that silver spot, but crews tight together, and there's still about 700 meters left to go. Ocean City moving forward, hanging on to the second place position, and in the outside lead, National Cathedral trying to hang on to the third place position. And closing in on the 1,000-meter mark, Bethesda Chevy Chase continuing to hold an open water lead over the rest of the field in the girls varsity 8 petite final. Lane 6, Washington and Lee trying to sneak back into the second place position, currently held by Ocean City in lane 2. And with 500 meters to go, Bethesda Chevy Chase staying really strong. Open water lead over the rest of the field. Ocean City holding on to second, but Washington and Lee making a move from the lane 6 position. And there you see Bethesda Chevy Chase out in the lead. Ocean City and the red unis and white boat currently holding on to the second position. Bottom of your screen, lane 6, Washington and Lee. Nice sprint towards the end of the race. And right up to the line, Bethesda Chevy Chase, strong finish. And here comes Washington and Lee on the inside. Do they have enough to get Ocean City? I'll have to go to the official results to see. Next, Pinecrest, followed by National Cathedral and Morristown. Wrapping up our petite final of the girls varsity 8. And underway, girls varsity 8 grand final. Girls prep in lane 1, Saratoga lane 2, Mount St. Joseph lane 3, Winter Park lane 4, Walt Whitman lane 5, and New Trier lane 6. With an early lead, Mount St. Joseph in lane 3. The rest of the field tight together. Mount St. Joseph 500 meters down. Coxon sitting on the bow balls of the rest of the field. So Mount St. Joseph establishing themselves as the strong leader after 500 meters. Nice tight race. All crews hanging right in there. Again, lane 1 is girls prep. Lane 2 is Saratoga. They were the first place finishers of the New York State qualifier. Lane 3, Mount St. Joseph. Winter Park is in lane 4. They finished second in the Florida qualifier. Walt Whitman in lane 5. They were the first place finisher at the Washington Metro qualifier. And New Trier in lane 6. They were your first place qualifier out of the Midwest. Vying for second place is Walt Whitman and Saratoga. Mount St. Joseph Coxon keeping an eye on those other crews, making sure they stay out in the lead. Walt Whitman trying to close back on the lead boat. Moving through that second 500 meters of the race, Walt Whitman trying to hang right with Saratoga, vying for that second place silver medal position, while Mount St. Joseph looking to increase their lead, getting open water over the rest of the field. 500 meters left to go, 1,000 meters down, and you have Mount St. Joseph, lane 3, out in front. 500 meters to go. Saratoga looking to take some seats from Walt Whitman, trying to establish themselves. And Saratoga taking a couple of seats on Walt Whitman. Saratoga in second. Whitman currently in third, but on the outside lane, girls prep trying to get in there and get the bronze medal. Only 300 meters to go in this varsity 8 final. Girls varsity 8 grand final. Currently, Mount St. Joseph, your leaders. Coming to the final 250 meters of the race. Mount St. Joseph staying with the lead. Second place up for grabs between Saratoga and Walt Whitman. Mount St. Joseph with a strong finish all the way to the line. Nice sprint. Staying ahead of the rest of the field. Saratoga looking like they want to take that second place, but Walt Whitman not giving up. And Mount St. Joseph across the line. Tight finish between Saratoga and Whitman. We'll have to go to the official results. Exciting finish. But Mount St. Joseph, your gold medal winners for the girls varsity 8 event, coxed by Katie Greed. In your stroke seat, Margaret Newell. 7 seat, Hannah Lemanowitz. 5 seat is Catherine Van Stone. In the 4 seat, May Sweeney. 3 seat is Carolyn Timoni. Riley Gorman in 2, and Giovanni Hunt in the bow seat. And that is Mount St. Joseph, your gold medal winner, girls varsity 8. And for that girls varsity 8 event, unofficially, it is Walt Whitman in second with Saratoga in third. On your screen now, you've got the petite final for boys varsity 8. Boys varsity 8 petite final. Lane 1 is Absagami. Lane 2, Walt Whitman. Lane 3, St. Albans. Lane 4, McLean. Lane 5, DeMatha. And Lane 6, Winter Park. And Lane 3, St. Albans with a decisive lead as they come through the second 500 meters of this race. DeMatha with a strong row. Looking in like they're going to hold second. Tight field, though. Out in Lane 2, Walt Whitman. Lane 4, McLean, and Lane 5, DeMatha, all vying for second and third place. And it was for close out the first 1,000 meters of this race, 500 meters to go. You have St. Albans maintaining their lead. DeMatha pulling up on the inside. Second and third place still up for grabs. And closing into that final 400 meters of the race, St. Albans maintaining their lead. DeMatha moving up on the inside from lane 5. Lane 2 is Walt Whitman. They're staying strong. DeMatha with a nice move here, trying to catch St. Albans. And we've got about 300 meters to go. St. Albans maintaining their lead. DeMatha with a nice sprint. So does Walt Whitman. Those two crews duking it out. Exciting as they come into the finish. Here comes St. Albans right across the line, followed by DeMatha, and a tight call between McLean and Walt Whitman. Absagami coming across the line now, and followed by Winter Park. That closes out the boys' varsity petite final. And coming up, our final race of the 2019 SRAA National Championship, Boys Varsity 8 Grand Final. And getting ready to start right on the line is the Boys Varsity 8 Grand Final. Going from the top of your screen down, Gonzaga in lane 1, Bethesda Chevy Chase in lane 2, New Trier in lane 3, Montclair in lane 4, St. Joseph Prep in 5, and Woodrow Wilson in lane 6. The crews are off with a fast and exciting start. All crews staying pretty tight together right off the start. Lane 2, Bethesda Chevy Chase trying to establish themselves early. They were the first place finishers out of the Washington Metro qualifier. And lane 6, Woodrow Wilson trying to make a move here. Appearing that they, at this point, are holding in the second position. We've got 500 meters down. And Bethesda Chevy Chase increasing their lead on the field, but Woodrow Wilson out of lane 6, not letting them get too far out of their sight. Coxon making sure she stays right with them. In lane 1 is Gonzaga. Second 500 meters of this 1,500 meter race. This is the final event, Boys Varsity 8 Grand Final. Bethesda Chevy Chase maintaining their lead, with both Gonzaga and Woodrow Wilson fighting for second place. And coming into the 1,000-meter mark of the boys' varsity 8 grand final, Bethesda Chevy Chase maintaining their lead, but here comes Woodrow Wilson in lane 6. 500 meters to go. Woodrow Wilson pulling even with Bethesda Chevy Chase. Woodrow Wilson trying to pull even, about 2 seats back on Bethesda Chevy Chase. Gonzaga out in lane 1, holding on to the third place position. But here comes New Trier in lane 3 to try and take that away from Gonzaga. Just about 300 meters to go. Close race between Bethesda Chevy Chase and Woodrow Wilson. Woodrow Wilson starting their sprint. Trying to take it back, making sure they use every inch of these last 200 meters. Woodrow Wilson starting to pull ahead. Can they hang on? Here comes Bethesda Chevy Chase with their sprint. Woodrow Wilson trying to hang on to that move, pulling right even with Bethesda Chevy Chase. Hanging on to the bronze medal position is Gonzaga, but here comes New Trier with their sprint. Going to the finish camera. And we've got a fight between Woodrow Wilson and Bethesda Chevy Chase, both crews from the Washington metro area. And here goes Walt Whitman. There goes Walt Whitman, followed by Bethesda Chevy Chase, and a close one for the third place. Unofficially, it was Gonzaga, but we got to get that cleared. Exciting finish. Woodrow Wilson, Cox by Natalia Fanchinato. In the AC Dean Guads, 7, Rory Haggerty, 6, Michael Horon, 5, Sebastian Murrell, 4, Ethan Klein, 3, Ian Conway, 2, Emmett Patterson, and in the bow seat, Nicholas Antrim. Those are your gold medalists for the boys' varsity 8, Woodrow Wilson. Thank you all for tuning in to the 2019 Scholastic Rowing Association of America. Exciting finish to 2 great days of racing. And we want to thank the Dillon Lake Recreation Association for all of their help in putting on this fantastic event. Dillon Lake has been phenomenal with resources and volunteers, making it a successful 2019 Scholastic Rowing Association Regatta. Thank you for tuning in.